I think it is the midweek already. Yes, because when it is a Wednesday, there's this excitement of, oh, Friday is around the corner. All right, good morning and you're welcome to the dailies right here in the corner. I'm sad
Wednesday.
I know, right? I mean, it's Wednesday. We're looking at
That's
Friday.
serious.
Friday is around the corner. All right, it's another beautiful morning to come talk about our great nation, Nigeria. My name is Wuraola Yusuff. And yes, I'm in the studio with Maestro. That's the morning. Of course, my smile is something else. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a Wednesday, or I do not know. Okay, let us take you through the front pages of our daily newspapers. This morning, what happened yesterday, what has been happening up until this morning, and how do these things, how do they affect and concern us as citizens of this great nation, Nigeria, whether living in or outside the country. Yes, this affects everyone, as long as they're citizens of Nigeria. Right, from the Guardian newspaper this morning, talking about the FASC allocations on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. There is a report saying thought citizens wallow in misery as governors cede duties to federal government amid a 5.34 trillion naira court. Falano backs military in denouncing protesters' use of Russian flag. That one is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper today. Page 3 says, heed Tinubu's dialogue call. ECOWAS tells protesters. That one is on page 3. After apology, APC to reinstate in Dume as chief whip. Right then, page 30 of the Guardian newspaper has details of the story. Nigeria, other developing countries stuck in middle income trap, says a World Bank. Federal government inaugurates a steering committee for digital free zones to boost global tech. Page 30 of the Guardian newspaper has details of that story. Right now, moving on to the front page of the Punch newspaper. The issue of the Russian flag being flown by some individuals. The federal government probes four northern political bigwigs. Page 2 has details of that story. The writers, one says influential political figures from Kaduna, Katsina, Bauchi suspected of sponsoring protests. The second one says the federal government deploys operatives in Niger, Chad borders. Protests are ahead to disown Russian flag waivers. 1 trillion naira spent to fight insecurity in 6 months. That is a report on page 30 of the Punch newspaper this morning. And it is saying that 1 trillion naira has been spent to fight insecurity in Nigeria in the last 6 months. Reps failed to effect a 50% pay cut. Page 14 of the Punch newspaper has that story. Varsities are mobilizing unqualified graduates for NYSC. That one is coming from Jam on page 14 of the Punch newspaper today. Naira crude sale yet to happen. That one is coming from operators on page 30 of the Punch newspaper today. Import duty waiver on rice, others begin the next week. That one is coming from the federal government. On page 30, still on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Yes, that's about the stories we have making the rounds this morning, and we'll have Maestro helping us with dissection and analysis of the stories because sometimes, yes, headlines, not just headlines. We need more analysis, more explanation to let us know what is really going on. The great Maestro, you're welcome in the studio, Papa Maestro. Which one should I
Yeah, I have a lot of those.
I know, right?
Good morning.
Good
It's
morning.
good to be here.
All right, then. Welcome. Yes, you're in the studio this morning, but Mr. Latin, maybe due to the rain or something. I
I
don't
know
understand.
you will be teasing him, then you will blame him later when he comes back.
Okay, then let us go straight into the stories making the rounds today. And yes, just yesterday we talked about the Russian flag being waved by some individuals and the protests in some places in the north. And yes, it became a discussion still yesterday, the discussion went on. And I think the federal government also went in the direction of what we discussed concerning the fact that they should check the Niger and the Chad borders, and most of this thing is probably emanating from there, from these people that they know what is going on concerning Russia and those places. So now they are trying to make that happen in Nigeria. Because now we have the federal government deploying operatives in Niger Chad borders, and also they are also probing for northern political bigwigs. Because I mean, for it to happen that you have a tailor, you are telling sew and distribute to people, this might would have had like a bit of a backing from some people. We also had Mr. Shehu Sani yesterday talking during an interview saying that yes, they were paid a day before the protest. They were paid. Take money, take flag.
Yes. And it's not strange to people who have depth of thought.
Hmm.
We are not equally gifted in any uh, set of skills, talent, and so on. We are differently gifted.
Hmm.
And some people are given, the gift of thought. Some people are given the gift of, vision, foresight, and so on. We have different gifts. And now the problem with this humanity is we run everything down when we are not at par. We run things down, just to feel comfortable in our own position. Now, the thing going on there, I alluded to a portion of that, which is the discontent uh, that we could write down to last election, the harrowing experiences of the uh, Christian populations in the northern part of the country. I also talked about the Nigerian thing.
Mm-hmm.
Those are things that we have talked about, and people who are pursuing protests with one-mindedness
Hmm.
absolutely, failed, woefully to envision certain things, and those things are playing out, which we should have envisioned and then protested very carefully. But it happened. So we now have to be dealing with the Russian thing and so on. Yes, it's not a bit of a support. What you're looking at in that place is carefully orchestrated,
Hmm.
planned, move to ensure that there's an escalation of the protest, and then the insertion of the Russian flag in the midst of it. The Russian flag essentially is not to even invite the Russians. It sends another message
Hmm.
entirely.
And what is that?
You see, the point is, um, what it really is saying is, let's have a coup d'etat. It's baiting coup and calling for military, incursion.
Not particularly Russia.
No, you see, the Russian thing is just it's a symbol
Hmm.
of the situation in Niger Republic,
Okay.
which is a coup happened in Niger Republic, and then it had the backing of Russia, and which probably has been able to sustain the coup there. So the thing is first military incursion, then Russian backing. So it's pretty clear what the flag bearers are pointing at, what they want to do, what they want to achieve. Then again, there are layers to this thing. You have a lot of people bearing the flags. They don't know what they are really, many of them would.
Because we also have to talk about education right there. Do they even know what they're doing? Holding the flag, they know
I'm
what it
sure. I'm
means.
sure you have some, undergrads there. You have
Hmm.
some secondary school kids there,
Hmm.
but you have a lot of kids.
Hmm.
People, primary school kids or people out of school kids. You have a lot of them. If you look at the visuals, you will easily see that those
Yes.
things, are really true. So the understanding, one, is there. Two, what's the game plan? What's the game plan? So let's even assume you have that kind of thing happen. Then everybody will just go home, and then you just have your way. Of course, I know that whoever is planning that knows that that is not true. We ride with this democracy, or we don't ride at all. There is no going to military, no going to anything. And you see, they are playing into the hands of people who are asking for Yoruba nation, who are asking for Biafra, who are asking for. That's the game they are playing. If they are not, if they don't know, they should also consider that one. It's not going to be a fallback position. You are doing military, you announce something, in 2 years' time you will do democracy again. It's not going to. We are done with that. We've had all that. You see, and I did in my analysis how far ahead we are of the Nigerian experience when it comes to military incursion. So I don't know if they are thinking that far. Now let's go back to the one that you talked about. Yes, it's quite possible that some politicians there are doing this thing. One other thing we must factor is that that core north is always very, very uncomfortable when it's not in the presidency. You can go and check every time it's not in the presidency, you have this kind of carnage. And you know, I think the only time where maybe the Obasanjo administration and maybe 50-50 they were even in the presidency then, because they brought him in. Absolutely.
So they seemed calm about
Yes, because that time the Southwest voted in another direction entirely. You know, everybody wanted Olufalaye, but we ended up with the other Olu because the two of them were Olu. Anyway, so I think if you look at the Jonathan administration, you know, one day, one trouble, which eventually led into this Boko Haram thing and so on, which a lot of people still suspect till tomorrow. And so you find all this fidgeting, you have this, you know, like, you know, the questions you will not ask in a Yaradua administration, the questions you will never ask during Buhari administration.
from the north.
You raise everything as soon as you are not in the presidency. And I don't think that's a good game plan. You know, I don't think it's going to work well in the final analysis, because if you are baiting cool like this, and if the worst happens, God forbid, if the worst happens, do you suppose, you know, anybody is going to be comfortable with you then? That's why I said the place that is restive now, you know, will come, and the place that is rested will become restless. That's what is going to happen. And I hope somebody somewhere is thinking about that seriously. So education that you mentioned is a very, very strong point. And I think the northern elite today, you know, again, should be thinking seriously about what they've done to the north. You see, one big wig in the north, precisely in Borno State, during the Buhari administration, had two of his daughters getting married on the same day. People were parking jets at the airport and parking jets and parking jets and parking until there was no more space. And they had to be telling people who were still coming in with their private jets that we're sorry, you have to, you know, find a way to.
In Nigeria,
the northern elite has money. There is no other part of this country that has the kind of money that the northern elite has. And it comes directly from many years, you know, of being in charge of everything.
But when we're still talking about the Almajiris, and we're also talking about poverty.
If it's the oil block, if it's the, you know, whatever it is, the lion's share goes to the north. Yet, that's the poorest part of this country. So how do you reconcile those contrasts? They are irreconcilable. And this is why you have an army of youth that are not, in quotes, educated. Because again, where you have this thing that is very dangerous is they are solidly, most of the time, educated in Arabic studies and Islamic studies. So you can't call them illiterates because they can read and write. It's just not the kind of language that you are talking about.
The kind of literacy you think.
So they can read, they can write, which makes them doubly dangerous because they are educated in a way. It's just not your Western way, but they are educated. So how do you now deal with that? You want to be using them as cannon fodders. You want to be using them as riot armies all the time. So now we are beginning to see, we have been seeing the results in Boko Haram because these kids are ready for recruitment anytime, for whatever purpose. If you are coming back and you say, okay, Jonathan stole this administration, the dog and the baboon must be soaked in blood, they are ready. And go and look at the billions lost to, and lives lost to the 2011 riots in the wake of an election again. So I'm looking at these things. You can just check from different angles. Agreed, is the season of protests around the world.
Not only in Nigeria.
But you see, we have to be careful. And what's the larger picture? We should keep asking ourselves, what is the larger picture? How do we elevate this thing, beyond we're hungry. Before they bring something in, look, the North is already in that situation. The Southeast is already in that situation. The only one left of the tripod is the Southwest. And you have attempts, constantly to drive the Southwest into that situation. And we really need to be careful. Otherwise, we might be facing the worst.
All right, Maestro. The question I have now is that, how did we get here? I think it was through the protest, the, in quote, hunger protest. That was what led us to the protest that, let me say, snowballed into the raising of a Russian flag by some people. And also, we have to talk about leadership of protest, because during the interview with Senator Shehu Sani yesterday, he was talking about the fact that for every protest, you should know this is the protest. This is what we want. This is what to get out of it. And also, there should be leadership in some parts towards these places.
I'm not even interested in leadership all that at this point, because weren't we sitting down here together and I was telling you, where are you? Faceless leadership, leaderless, all these systems. And then I cannot reconcile the injustice of saying you want to, banner end bad governance, and there is a tier of governance that you are interested in, and you're not interested in the other tiers. How does that make sense?
All right, Maestro, let's go pay some bills when we're back. We'll go to that. And also in the North, where they leaders, I said, okay, this protest, we are going to move from here to this point, and then from here we'll go to this place, and then we'll go back home. Was that? Do we have that in the North? Is that the reason for all what is happening right now? We'll be back.
Akitibo 88.7 FM.
Wow! Your baby is here! Congratulations!
Do not waste time. Put your baby to breast within the first 1 hour of delivery to give that first yellowish milk colostrum. Colostrum has all the important nutrients your baby needs to start a healthy life. Colostrum also helps to protect your baby against diseases. Remember, put your baby to breast within the first 1 hour of delivery. This message is from the ANRIN Project or your state's Ministry of Health.
My son, help me check this phone. I don't know wetin Junior press. E no dey work again.
Make I see. Mommy.
Wetin happen?
They don't block your line now.
Nobody like to chop blocking, no. So, if they don't block you unto say you not link your NIN to your Airtel line, run kitty go any Airtel shop with your NIN to unblock your line today.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
I'm in love, Sonia tomato mix, stand up. Easy to open, easy to squeeze, easy to scoop and easy to stir. Dishes come alive with so much taste.
tomato mix in a new standard pouch.
Adekunle Ajasin University Ibadan campus Togun àti Mufulani College of Education Ibadan Lagos Express Road ọ̀rẹ́ méjì axis Ibadan lọ enroll báyìí courses tó bá wù ọ́ ní ọyàn láàyò ló bá gba certificate lẹ́yìn àgùnbánirọ̀ English language political science accounting economics computer science biology health human kinetics social studies religious studies àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ sáré pé o ní 5 credits tó ní maths and English nínú Mondays to Friday lẹ́kọ́ ọmọ ìparí ọ̀sẹ̀ ní tàwọn tó wà lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ Saturdays and Sundays AAUA management ló ń tẹ̀ gbà postgraduate diploma PGD in education ó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ báyìí o ní Mufulani College of Education in affiliation with Adekunle Ajasin University Akungba Akoko Ondo State gba fọ́ọ̀mù báyìí lélẹ́wùrà Community Grammar School number 1 baálé elewura street elewura challenge Ìbàdàn àti ní Mufulani College of Education Ìbàdàn gbogbo student tó fẹ́ wọlé AAUA wọ́n ti gbọ̀rọ̀ yín ro fọ́ọ̀mù ti di 5,000 báyìí ó ti kúrò ní 10k 45,000 ní school fees ó ti kúrò ní 50k nítorí bẹ́tù ọ̀rọ̀ àjẹsẹ̀rí láfijáwọ̀ ń wálẹ̀ telephone 07031551555 website www.aauaibadancampus.com.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
All right, you're welcome back. In case you're just joining us, do not forget that our Facebook page is there for you to watch us live. But right now, we are speaking. Maestro, it is no news that some people just say the North, all they need is a trigger, and then from there, they move. So yes, the organizers of the protest, according to Shehu Sani, he said, it seemed that there was no organized leadership in the North. Telling them.
No, you see, this is the problem. You have genuine protest on the one hand.
Okay.
You have the mischievous, the fraudulent protest on the other hand. So my problem is not with the mischievous and the fraudulent. The problem I have is with the genuine one.
Okay.
And that's what he's now saying. You see, what the, who said this? What the wise man does first, the fool does last. Now, the point here is, when we were asking, what's the game plan? Nobody was, you couldn't see any game plan anywhere.
We are hungry.
So what's the end game? Nobody was talking about end game.
We want to end bad governance.
And you see, when you expect the followers to be at a particular level of thinking, that's okay. To talk just about hunger and so on. We simply want to do this and that. Okay. But what makes you the leader? And I always say this. If you are called the leader and you stand in front, what you are doing is to just block the sun. And instead of illuminating the vision of your followers, you're simply, running them blind. And that's precisely what happened. The people that came out, all the, activists of this world were simply talking about, let's hit the streets. Let's hit the streets. Things have become much more sophisticated than that. See, look at the regions of Africa that are troubled. You have, have you seen Blood Diamond or something like that? Have you seen that? That's a film that talked about.
I have. I've seen it.
Okay, that's even on the west coast of Africa. It's bloody. You go and check what they did to Angola for many years, and the battles of Zavimbis of this world. Go and check what happened everywhere there's treasure. CDR, Congo Democratic Republic. See what happened there. Look at how long they have been taken away from my village there. Gold. And nobody is hearing anything. Of course, look at what's going on in Zamfara State. People are dying over gold mining. They keep Africa in a perpetual state of imbalance. Because it is only when you're not balanced that they can come in and take away from you.
That is intentional.
Look, this is the big game. So you don't even know. Some of these people who are saying they are leading this, they're leading that, and fighting this and that. Many of them are not. They are even, playing the bigger game. And we sit down and we're looking at the small games because that is what we do. in this part of the world, we look at the small issues all day, all night. While the people who are manipulating us and taking away our treasure, they play the big game. It's a global game. And if you don't understand it, don't get involved in the discussion.
At all.
Just sit it out. And of course, you can, say the part of it that is, paining you. I'm hungry. Okay, let's talk about that, because if people are hungry, you cannot really do anything else. If you have one person inside your household who is hungry, you won't be able to sleep. I assure you, you will not sleep. So let's fix that. But
the second, Maestro.
It's 7 a.m. on Agidigbo 88.7 FM.
All right.
They never even, they didn't even attend to that hunger self. So now we've found ourselves where it is clear that some people actually fueled, maybe they even funded the whole thing, because this is a very corrupt society. And it let people sound as sanctimonious, as pious as they want to be. This is a corrupt society. And I don't know who is taking money from who, including whichever activist. So I don't know. Otherwise, what stops us from thinking about our situation deeply? That, okay, we want to protest. This is how we will go about it.
We have some protesters visiting the politicians' houses, and we have some of that.
Do you know that these guys are asking for 4 billion naira now to keep it going?
Yes.
So you see, there's dishonesty everywhere. And that's the more reason why genuine people, because there are a lot of genuine protesters.
It's supposed to be day 7.
And there's no day anymore. There is now Russian flag. Everything is, look, you cannot now be protesting today. Okay, didn't I tell you about Rivers? What are they doing in Rivers? They've gone to Wike's house. I told you, the Rivers one is between Wike and Fubara.
Yes.
We are not talking about hunger.
Depends on what is happening in each state.
There is nobody I have seen who could say we went to Wike's house because we are hungry. Or because this man said we couldn't do it, so we are doing it. No. It's a local thing in Rivers State. It's a local thing in Kano State. And now you're having local stuff in waving Russian flags all over the place. So what we have effectively is no longer protest. And I hope that people who have genuine intentions will retreat to their homes now. Because as they are further empowering the UK armed forces on the red alert, the police have been given... Look, when they are quelling riots in the UK, they don't go with guns or anything harmful. Now they are holding it. Now they are doing it. So how much more here?
We had the security agencies. They had a meeting yesterday.
So I hope genuine people will just retreat now and leave the Russian flag bearers to be doing their thing, and the wicked people versus Fubara.
Yesterday, we also had Mr. Femi Falana SAN backing the military and denouncing protesters' use of Russian flag, saying yes, that is wrong and it is no longer a protest.
It's a shame that he was even part of it at all, because he already told the world that, look, I'm not part of this thing. I'm not part of it. I don't know who their leaders are. I don't know. And that's where it should have stopped. But, he's done so much for this country in the area of protest. Maybe that's where the spore came from. Otherwise, he should have left them.
So no one knew this was going to turn out to be this way.
Nobody should be saying no one knew. I mean, that's even an insult to people like us.
Some people
who have been talking about this thing, they shouldn't insult us like that, nobody knows it was going to turn out like this. Even people who are simply passing their comments said, look, some people said there are no peaceful protests in Nigeria.
There were warnings.
They were warning. But I was just saying, because I was concerned more with people who had genuine intentions. And I was, look, you're going about this thing the wrong way. There must be, what's your end game?
It is not about, we don't want you to protest.
No.
It is not about that.
I don't believe we ever said that here at any time, though we had to say it many, many times. That, look, the protest is the right of everybody, but somebody will come again as if you said, nobody should protest. Oh, the protest is the right of everybody. The law covers it. And then they come again. So, but that is okay. When we are having this kind of conversation, some people could catch on very quickly. Some people are, like that. But you must have a plan. You must have a leader. I remember telling people, during the Nadeco, you saw all the leaders. So why couldn't it be like that? You saw all the leaders. This one that people will leave their states and they will come and protest in Lagos. Children of prominent people will leave their state and come and protest in Lagos. Why couldn't you protest in your state? Because he probably knows that's terribly dangerous. Wives and so on of opposition members, they all went to protest in different places. Somebody left Edo State to come and protest in Lagos. There's so much dishonesty around this whole thing. And as much as I wanted to even doubt what the politicians were saying before, everything is out in the open now.
We've seen what is going on now, and it seems it is no longer about hunger.
Unfortunately, because the hunger is still there.
It is there.
The hunger is there.
It is.
And so if we had, for instance, done something better than one bland and, open-ended, where in the world have you ever heard people ending bad governance? Where in the world? Bad governance goes on everywhere in the world. But what people do is to try as much as possible to fix specifics so that in the long run it will have, an impact, a positive impact on governance.
Maestro, does it seem like this hashtag end bad governance protest is going to bring out something, at least one thing, and that will bring about a change in governance in Nigeria?
No, there wouldn't be a change. There will be momentary, perhaps some positive reactions, which will be momentary. Because you see, whatever we do, we must now inject that consistency. Look, we are talking about systems here. We are not talking about individuals. This is where intelligence matters. Because if you talk about the individual, as people are so much sold on individuals, oh, it should have been Obi, it should have been Ashiwaju, oh, it should have been Atiku. That is an error because you are not attending to systems. You are attending to persons. What about if it's your person that got there? And let's assume, for instance, for a moment, that your person now does excellently in that office and eventually your person goes. Could you guarantee who comes? You can't guarantee who comes. That is why the intelligent will be after systems and not persons. That's why we have always said we don't want strong persons. We want strong systems, institutions. But already, the institutions that we have are heavily watered down, destroyed with corruption and everything. So we need a different system than this. So, and what we should do in order to get that system, because you have some vested interests and very powerful, entrenched people who are going to stand against, whatever you want to do, because you're going to take away their benefits.
All right. One of the things, one of the promises made concerning this hunger protest before it started was that the members of the House of Representatives said they were going to slash their salaries by 50% for the next 6 months. And no, that didn't happen for the month of July. However, the federal lawmakers made a resolution saying that they remain committed to the resolution passed on July 18, which mandates a 50% reduction in their salaries.
What is the value of this one? No, I'm asking you. Let me even ask you now. What is the value of this one?
That was one of the promises they made for the hunger protest.
So how long is it going to... What is the value? It's useless.
Now it's not even happening.
And I told you it's very useless. Let it even happen 10 times over. It is useless. It's not going to feed one local government. It's not going to feed... I'm talking to you about systems. You're still talking about individuals. It cannot help anybody. And this is the problem we have. We are so sold on these small things.
That is
we have
300,000.
to do something bigger than that. Much bigger than that. And you cannot do anything bigger than that if you don't attack the systems. Because systems run everything. Yesterday I was talking to you about the computer and virus. So you cannot be opening up the computer and be looking for screwdrivers, hammer and everything. You are going to look for antivirus. It's a system that you will use to treat another system.
So you're saying 648 million naira. That is what they are going to be given altogether within the period of 6 months. It won't do anything for us concerning this hunger that is in the land. All right, Maestro, let us move on to the education sector right now, as we have JAMB saying that universities are mobilizing unqualified graduates for NYSC. The quality of the graduates coming out of schools and now coming out of tertiary institutions now to NYSC, they are unqualified.
Why should it be JAMB talking about qualified or unqualified people from universities?
Is it not their place? Is it not in their place to say so?
The business of JAMB is to, put people, set up exams for people who are going in. JAMB has no part after that. I don't know if you have any role that JAMB plays inside the universities and in writing the certificates that will lead, people outside. There's a role for JAMB there. I'm asking because I don't know.
They actually wrote a letter to vice chancellors and provosts.
I think the relevant body or bodies should be the NUC, should be concerned with that. The Ministry of Education should be concerned with that. Individual universities should be concerned with that.
The problem is with the illegal admissions of those people.
Illegal admissions is not... My God. So, these illegal admissions now is what they are talking about now, or the quality at the other end.
That is as a result of what is happening. The illegal taking in of people, unqualified, according to them, unqualified people into the varsities will make them bring out the same breed of people going into
JAMB is a major problem. Because if they don't go through JAMB, could they go through anywhere? Could they go through, just pick themselves and go to the universities? So I believe that JAMB is a problem because every university would have been answering for itself if they were the ones taking in and then passing out.
If JAMB is not in question.
Well, this JAMB thing is part of the problem of the structural damage to education in this country. That you have a central body that is taking on this behemoth, a central body that is even without the capacity anyway. And so if you would restructure, you get rid of bodies like that are central, to no avail really, and let individuals take care of their businesses. And we have a lot of bodies like that. When you go and look at, NYSC, I don't know what is going on there.
Maestro, do you want us to talk about NYSC?
There are a lot of things that it's not just that. Look, when I look at the EFCC, for instance, you have a central agency, and then go to any of the state branches, you have far fewer than the men you would need to function effectively in such places. Far fewer. So it's not about one agency or the other, one organization, one government body or the other. It's about all. And that is why we have a very, very poor system, yet we don't appear to get it.
Seems we have a bit of an issue with centralization in Nigeria. Maestro.
Well, that's what restructuring is about. That's what they did, because that's not how we started out.
Okay.
We started out differently, and we were, largely successful. And that's why, I showed people all the industries everywhere in this place. You could even use Ibadan as an example.
Okay.
And see, go and check from the 1950s, 60s, 70s to early 80s. Go and check the number of industries you had in Ibadan alone.
But now?
They are all gone. They are now bus stops. Hey, Sonye bus stop. A Greek bus stop. They are now bus stops.
A Greek bus stop without...
If you knew what those agriculture settlements were like, you would realize how far we would have gone. But there is a global system with proxies inside our country, and it's the same thing all over Africa. There's a global system dedicated to keeping us impoverished, because these guys, they need all those things in their countries. They don't have the things we have in Africa anymore, and so they've always been taken, even when they had. And that's the long chain of slavery, slave trade, and so on and so forth up till this point. But we have to talk about the tiny issues every day, right?
All right, Maestro. We have a former President Olusegun Obasanjo telling us that Nigeria's reliance on crude oil is a deadly mistake.
What did he rely on when he was there?
So, Maestro, let's go pay some bills. When we're back, we'll talk about that. We'll be back right now.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
Tomato mix in a new stand-up pouch.
Babies are God's gifts to parents, and breast milk is God's gift to babies. It contains all the important nutrients and minerals your baby needs, including water, for the first 6 months. Give your baby breast milk only. Remember, breast milk only for the first 6 months. This message is from the Anrin Project or your state's Ministry of Health.
We can protect your car, your savings.
Let's not make it boring. Let's make insurance a lifestyle. If you've ever wished your insurance offered you more, then you're in good hands with Hares Insurance Group. In addition to our extensive insurance coverage, you can also enjoy free benefits such as networking opportunities, up to 10% discount on hotels, gyms, spas, and your favorite stores, tickets to exclusive events, and free resources to plan your future. So, next time someone asks you, what does your insurance company give you, sir? Your answer should be with Hares Insurance Group. Definitely much more than insurance.
To enjoy all these, sign up on www.hairsinsurancegroup.com. That is HEIRS. Hares Insurance Group. Simple life is here.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
All right, former Nigeria's President Olusegun Obasanjo has expressed concern over the country's continued reliance on crude oil, saying it is a deadly mistake.
Well, if you put it like that, I think depending on his intentions, he's probably right. Because before I was going to ask directly, and I did ask, what did he depend on when he was there? 2 different times. And, if he says it's a mistake, I hope he gave himself a portion, a large portion of that mistake.
That is part of it.
Yes, a huge part of it. Because if you're gifted by God Almighty to head Nigeria twice, once as a military head of state, and the other time as a president for 8 years, you don't have a lot of excuses. You don't, because it's like you were prepared during that military, headship for that civilian headship, and you failed still. And you return to say, it was a mistake that I depended on petrol all the while. I don't think that's a mistake. Really, it's not a mistake. It's incompetence. It's failure of leadership. That's what it is. Because while you were in power, you knew that the Norwegians were saving half of everything they got from crude oil. Half of everything. They called it sovereign wealth fund. And you see, Norway is one of the... They don't blab about all over the world that we have crude oil. They have in massive quantities, and they have been saving 50% of everything they got from crude oil for God knows how long. When Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala came to say, let's introduce this thing, let's also create sovereign wealth fund. Let's be keeping money aside. You know what the governors told her? They called her Okonjo Wahala. They stood firmly. You see, many of the governors that are talking now as ex-governors and so on, who are now, pontificating, they were the ones talking nonsense to that woman when she said, let us save money. We wouldn't have been in this kind of situation if we had been saving money like that. We would have had something to bail us out. We wouldn't have been beholden to IMF and World Bank to tell us whatever it is they want us to do. When they sneeze, we begin to catch cold.
In quote, Baba Obasanjo said, I believe we made a deadly mistake by putting all our eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
By relying on oil. We had a very important commodity, gas, but we were flaring it. Our youth are restive, and they are restive because they have no skill, they have no empowerment, they have no employment. We are all sitting on a keg of gunpowder, and my prayer is that we will do the right thing before it is too late. End of quote.
Again, you had a good luck Jonathan, who in serious desperation, to retain his relevance, introduced nomadic education to the northern part of this country. Rather than our people, our key politicians in the north accepting this thing and taking as much as they could, they turned it down. They went and ensured that the entire place was deserted, that those kids, those almajiris were not returned to school. They started giving us some kind of puerile, education that it's cultural in the north to have almajiris, it's a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing to keep your own children in the best schools in Europe and elsewhere in the world. But it is cultural for you to keep the children of poor people on the streets of the north, so that anytime you call them to arms, they will answer you. I don't think that has anything to do with culture or religion. It's just sheer wickedness. And now it's haunting them. Because, I saw as they marched on Yobe State Government House. And it's a shame. But whose shame? Before we begin to share the shame across Nigeria, it is first and foremost the shame of the northern leader. It's his shame first. Because where else did you see the people marching on government houses? In the entire country. Where else are they raising Russian flags? Do you know what the irony is? The Putin they are calling on, he doesn't believe in any God. Yes, I know about before some people will start talking about Christian orthodoxy. I know all those things. I know Putin does not believe a God exists. I know that the people of the northern part of this country believe that God exists. So how could you now be calling on somebody that does not believe in the existence of God to be your savior, to come and save you? Let's assume that he even does it. What happens afterwards? How much are you calling on another person with a fair face to come and colonize you? How much of that are you doing? So it's a big problem that we said we wanted to protest against hunger, and then we just dissolved into this kind of mess because some people, this is how they play their own politics.
All right then. One of the things Baba also said was the fact that he condemned the government of the day over the way they are handling the refineries, getting the refineries back on their feet. He said, how many times have they told us that the refineries will be fixed and at what price? According to him, he said when he was president, he invited Shell to come and take equity and run our refineries for us. He said they refused and said our refineries were not well maintained.
I didn't even know that's the interview you are talking. I thought it was a fresh one.
It is the interview.
That's an interview granted like last week.
And
I was wondering, if you called Shell and Shell didn't work, is Shell the only avenue in the world? You see, the problem is he's saying the right things, but it's coming from the wrong person. You had all the time in the world, and there is no government in this country that he ever approved of. It's only his own that he approved of. Who now tells you that anybody even approves of your own? And he was, at least his voice was one of the ones that sounded like they were planning it immediately after the elections. Yeah, it sounded like his voice. I don't know if he's the one. Just like the other one was calling for war. Say that this is war on telephone to another Christian leader. And all of this mess that they have been, imputing in the system. We need something much more serious, much more holistic than this. We need a Marshall Plan for this country. We need something that would take us away from, and that's restructuring. And they all know it. You see, what pains me sometimes when I talk like this is, we were shouting, restructuring. When he was in power, he grabbed the microphone and told everybody who was talking restructuring that time, he said, go and restructure your minds first.
Let's start from there.
He said it's your mind that needs restructuring, not Nigeria. Of course, he was head of state then. He was powerful. Now the power is gone. At least the power of commander-in-chief is gone now. And so we are now regretting that we depended on oil alone. We are now regretting that the refineries didn't work. What usefulness would all these regrets bring to us? He writes very well. These are things he should be writing in another book and allow the people who are there today to do their best.
But then he's saying the right thing, but coming from him?
That's what I always say. When you've had your time, it's the decent thing to do is to settle down and allow others whose time has come, to let them handle it. And if they don't handle it well, when they leave the place, you can be now talking about it as somebody who also failed. Because why in the world, when Naira was good, when everything was fairly firmer than this, why didn't we have this massive agricultural? And he was the one, when he first came, that talked about Operation Feed the Nation.
I had that.
Oh, was he able to feed the nation? And well, yes, he grew up to be a big farmer. A big time farmer. Many of these generals are
for Nigeria.
Not for Nigeria, for himself. But at least, you buy eggs. I've not seen his eggs before. But yes, he went into, and some people will say Operation Feed the Nation. That the title is telling you something else again.
Are you saying we didn't get anything tangible from Operation Feed the Nation?
I don't even want to dwell on that because it's gone. You see, what we should be looking ahead at this point, look at IBB hardly talks. He's done his own wreckage and building. Whatever he built, whatever he wrecked is left. And he keeps quiet. He doesn't, rabble-rouse. Jonathan is there. He's, keeping quiet. He comes out occasionally. And when he comes, he's talking peace. Abdul Salami is there with whatever he took or he didn't take. Everybody is there.
You don't think Baba is being remorseful by saying that?
I don't know if he believes he ever even. In fact, I'm bowled over by him saying we made a mistake. I've never heard him. I've never heard him use that kind of talk before. But it would have been more interesting if he said, when I was there, I made a mistake. Wow. I should have done it differently. But saying we means it's not just me, it's all of us.
We're all in this together.
So that's why we shouldn't really be dwelling on that.
All right.
What we should be doing is to be looking ahead. How can we, take our country by the scruff and lift it up? And, some of us have been looking at this problem for a very long time. There is no other way out of this mess. The only way is restructuring. Whether we now want to do it piecemeal, which is acceptable, or we want to do it holistically, which is by changing the constitution to at least something that looks like the 1960s. It's just a component of it, which gives autonomy to the zones. I still see some people talking about regions. We can't do regions anymore. We're too far gone down the lane. What we could do is do the 6 geopolitical zones. And I think Nigeria will start growing almost immediately.
All right, then. It's about time people started calling in this morning to join in the conversation. And yes, we have rules. Please, when you call in, you have a minute flat and attack the situation, attack the topic, not persons, whether in the studio or not. 0704-1001-887 or +234 704 700 But we have to listen to this.
Thank you for your attention. It's been lovely to have you keeping it locked on Agidigbo 88.7 FM. Now is the time to join in the conversation, to have the word, hear your voice, because we are the people's voice. Meanwhile, while you contribute to this program, kindly note that in accordance with broadcasting ethics, you are requested to keep your contributions modest, truthful, concise, and not offensive, inflammatory, or with tendencies to cause discomfort to anyone. Thank you. Now, let the conversation begin.
Hello, good morning. Hello. 07041001-887 or +234 704 700 Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to your name and where you're calling from.
Oh, this is JJ from Daba. Good morning, Maestro.
Good morning.
It's been a while.
Yes, yes.
On the issue of education and JAM that you made mention, I think JAM is one of the frictions deliberately created to slow down the rate at which this country goes. And it ought to be, by now, it should be scrapped. Just like you said, every institution should be allowed to define the way and their standard for entry for anybody they want to take into their system. It is one of the things that destroy the education. They shouldn't be the one talking about the standard of education or products from university or colleges or whatever this time around. Secondly, sir, I want to ask a question. When and how and who will take us to our desired country? You've been talking about restructuring. When should we start the process? Who will take us there? And how are we going to get there? Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
So the politics that we're running is wrong-headed. That's why we haven't found the leadership for that kind of move. And the politicians, they've deceived us for long enough. When they want to appease us, get into those positions, their body language, sometimes their speeches will favor restructuring. and then we rally around them. And they've taken us for a ride for too long. So I think people should gain further and further consciousness concerning, what restructuring is all about. I know that a lot of people now know it because we've been, running this advocacy for a very long time. But I think we need to do more, and that's why, we'll probably be looking at 2 items on Igbesiaye on Sunday between 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock.
Restructuring being
on
one.
Agidigbo. We are going to talk about restructuring, of course, in Yoruba language. And then we are going to talk about what the states have been getting, what they got before, and what they have been getting now.
What they are getting now, and
Because-
what's the difference? What are we seeing?
Because it's not that the governors are, bad. I don't run my conclusions like that. But it's just that the people are mostly uninformed. And that's why somebody can just come around and say, let's go and protest against this and that. And then we just follow like that. We should know where we want to do it, why we want to do it.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sister.
Yeah.
God bless you. About MAESTRO.
Good morning.
God bless you. Yeah, Olali Komotu from Alake area. You see, for me, on the issue of petrol, see, is this thing that happened with those former presidents that is happening now. All of them, they know how they are doing our petroleum situation, and all of them are seeking something from that. If to say those past presidents, they are good citizens of this, they are enemy of this country. If not so, there's nothing wrong at this situation Nigeria are now. People are suffering. Nothing wrong that if they are good people, all those former presidents, they should stand up and then and with present government to know how to solve the problem. The masses are, you see, but they are all corrupt. But we deliver them to God. God will judge, and we can.
All right. Thank you so much for your contributions. All right. We have some comments on the Facebook page. This one from Imafo J. Peter says Nigeria's president and all the security agencies must put hunger, poverty, insecurity, unemployment, and corruption on their security watch list. They must not let this 5 subversive element enter Nigeria in order for peace to reign. All right. This one from Joseph Otumba says there is total systemic failure. We need to build institution instead of people. Without that, we are going nowhere. Maestro, do you know that Ali Ndume may?
He's apologized already.
Okay.
And I told you.
And after apology.
Wait, you of all people, I told you and your people on Facebook that you should not be fighting, the cause of billionaires. Because it's not your fight. But every time we tell you these things and they come to pass, you just keep quiet. You don't clap. You don't applaud.
That will make me read this comment.
Constantly, we tell you and you don't listen. We'll tell you another one tomorrow. We know you won't listen.
All right, let me tell you this one from Ibirag Bamuidin Adewale saying, good morning, Wuraola. Let me tell you something about Mr. Maestro. The person who introduced me to his analysis has now started seeing him as APC. On what he said about these Indumis cases, with his... included an emoji, a smiling emoji, and then he said, on what he said about this Indumes case with his friends in the National Assembly, is he not right now? By saying we have no business in them removing him as the chief whip. Nigerians, Pelu or Rotio Konwa. All right then, let us move on from that comment and take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. No.
Good morning, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
Morning, no. Next one, good morning.
Good morning.
Oloyi Akitile morning by name.
You're welcome.
From Olopa, Ibadan. Next, I want to ask you a question, sir, because I've been following since when you are in
your question, sir.
That you are there. Please, this restructuring that you are talking about,
yes.
Is it not possible for them to do it? Because we've been talking about this restructuring. See all these presidents that we are talking about. Before they got there, they will be talking about restructuring. If they left that place, they were talking about restructuring. What was the problem about this restructuring? I just want to know, please. Good morning.
All right. The key problem about restructuring is you have a lot of people feeding from the new structure, the central structure, the federal system, apart from the regional that we started with. So now this federal system is not working, it's dysfunctional. Therefore, we should move to the one we were successful at. But some people they are billionaires by simply being born, crossing their legs, having the right contacts. I remember in this country, there was a head of state. Reports had it then that the wife of that head of state simply wrote, go and lift crude on a piece of paper and gave her hairdresser. And the hairdresser got about 20 million pounds sterling, from that. Hairdresser, no crude lifting, no do anything, no nothing. But because and some people born into certain circumstances, you see this thing we call accident of birth. It happens like that, and then they are made. So if you restructure, we'll go back to a system that works for everybody, or at least almost everybody. Like 95%, it will work, and we'll have the industries back again. But
and that will be a huge win.
They don't want that because, everything that should be coming to all of us, they are the ones cornering it now.
All right. Maestro Oladele Richard says, I want to ask, sir, will restructuring stop corruption? If yes, how?
No, there's nowhere. You see, if you understand the nature of corruption, you will not be looking to stop corruption. It's something as really, like you want to end bad governance. You see, corruption is natural. What you do is you prevent it as much as possible. That's what you do with corruption. You don't stop corruption.
Reduce it to the barest minimum.
Look at us the day. In fact, it's even positive sometimes. Look at the day we were born. The day we were born, corruption sets in immediately. And it's going to travel with us for life until we become that shriveled old folks again, and then we return to where we came from. And it's the same thing. You have this plantain. That's why our forefathers said, okay, then it's natural to have corruption. But what you do is you bring it down. You have corruption in the US, you have it everywhere in this life. But you don't want to stop it because you are wasting your time. What you want to do is to bring it down to the barest minimum. Sanitize certain places. Make your systems functional. That's what you do. You don't stop corruption.
All right. Akoze Molariwaju said in 1999 during Obasanjo, it was Sharia Dolini. In 2011 during Jonathan, it was Boko Haram. In 2024 during Tinubu, it is I don't know if I'm pronouncing this well. Zanga.
I told you that they are always
flags.
uncomfortable whenever the northern politician is extremely uncomfortable whenever he's out of power. And he wants back in as soon as possible.
He said the raising Russian flags, the burning of Nigerian flag, and publicly calling for military coup d'etat against a democratically elected government. If you want to unseat Tinubu, why can't you wait till 2027 to unseat him through the ballot, rather through the back door? Is this how we are going to continue?
No, they think they are measuring it, but they are
Hmm.
not measuring it. The problem here is that what you are doing will get out of your hand. And if it does, nobody is going to have anything at the end of the day. It won't bring you back to power. It will bring all of us, it will scatter everything. That's what, and that's what you don't want.
Why is it that whenever we have a southern president, there must be an uprising in the north, especially
Because sometimes
northwest?
there are gullible southerners too. Very gullible, who will believe that, okay, we are going to do this and that. And that's what's going to solve our problem. So I look at the whole thing and, it's so shameful the way we have been led to do this thing.
All right. He said there's nothing anyone can say to convince him that those children in the viral video burning flag are probably not the best, were acting alone or a mere coincidence.
Yes, they're not acting alone.
Hello, good morning.
They're not acting alone.
Good morning to your name and where you're calling from. Good morning, Alaji, your contribution.
The issue of the structure, like I used to say, we have different aspects to the structure. The rich and the poor cannot have the same perception to it. Neither the political class and we, is why it is difficult. Because the way they are looking at it is as if you want to remove what they have been eating for long from them. So, why can't the president, the executive, propose a bill to the National Assembly or the Assembly members themselves propose bill for restructuring even some items we have been discussing about, like the police? See, they won't do it.
Let me. Alaji.
Yes, my brother.
Alaji, you see, there's a problem. Let me engage you because I think we're, holding a fine conversation here. You see, the problem is you have what I call vicious figures in the National Assembly. I call it vicious figures. Those figures have been locked into our constitution with the barrel of the gun. The North has an overwhelming majority in that place. And whatever they don't want to happen will not happen in that National Assembly. So we need to unlock the constitution for us to be able to achieve some of these things if we are going that way.
All right. Thank you so much, Malachi, for your contribution. Yes, you've spent a minute. Let's go pay some bills now. When we're back, we'll take more calls, read more comments, and then we'll move from there. But then let me read this one from Ahmed G. Moshur. It's saying, Baba will always say his own. If you listen hard, then you will catch up rapidly. We'll be back.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
My country people, mama, papa and pikin, make una listen o. Cholera full town o, but make you no fear. Cholera na disease wey you fit prevent with better hygiene practice for your home. Just dey disinfect your floors, clothes and every corner for your yard with hypo bleach. And no forget to dey clean your toilets with hypo toilet cleaner. This way, you go protect your family and stop the spread of cholera.
tó o bárajà lọ́wọ́ oníbàárà rẹ tó bá fi díẹ̀ sí fún ọ ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ni nìyẹn.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni èèní ni.
ó yá wá fojú inú wò ó kó o ra nǹkan ẹyọ kan wọ́n wá fún ọ ní mẹ́jọ sí i kí wá nìyẹn.
èèní gọbọi nìyẹn.
gbà bẹ́ẹ̀ èèní gọbọi nìyẹn tètè lọ ra síìmù Airtel tuntun tìrẹ náà kó o wá fi owó ìpè sórí ẹ̀ kó o sì bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí gbádùn ìlọ́po mẹ́jọ iye tó rà pẹ̀lú ẹ̀bùn ẹgbẹ̀rún náírà láti kí ọ káàbọ̀.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
ọmọ ti dé ọmọ tuntun jòjòló òkú oríire má jáfara o gbọ́dọ̀ sọmọ lẹ́nu láàrin wákàtí kan àkọ́kọ́ tọmọ délé ayé láti fún un ní àkọ́kọ́ sí omi ọyàn aláwọ̀ òféèfé yẹn tí wọ́n ń pè ní colostrum. àkọ́kọ́ sí omi ọyàn colostrum yìí ní gbogbo èròjà pàtàkì tọmọ rẹ nílò láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìlera pípé ó sì ń ṣèrànlọ́wọ́ láti dènà àrùn fọ́mọ rẹ. rántí o fọ́mọ rẹ lọ́yàn láàrin wákàtí kan àkọ́kọ́ tó o bímọ. ìkéde yìí wá láti àkọ́ṣeṣẹ́ ARIN iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
Guys, let's go and get seats at that table with Semovita.
Sorry, this table is reserved for the bride's family.
Do you know who I am? I'm the older brother of the sister's last uncle who married their first cousin.
Everybody wants to sit at the Golden Penny Semovita table. Golden Penny Semovita remains my soup's first choice. It's made from premium wheat and fortified with vitamins and minerals to provide a wholesome bowl food that pairs well with Nigerian soups. Golden Penny Semovita, my soup's first choice.
I'm in love. Sonia tomato mix, stand up. Easy to open, easy to squeeze, easy to scoop and easy to stir. Dishes come alive with so much taste. Sonia tomato mix, of course. Sonia tomato mix, yes sir. Sonia tomato mix, stand up.
Sonia tomato mix in a new standard pouch.
So much in love.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
All right, running through comments on our Facebook page, Manif Femi says, about the uproar in northern Nigeria, it is obvious that the truth is hidden in plain sight and wrapped in so much deception that it's seldom seen. Stephen Olusheyi says, I think the northern elite are deceiving their youth with little things. Most of their youth find it difficult to stay in their state, but to see all right. I think that is quite offensive, and I will be able to take it.
No, we shouldn't. That. Did you see the comments of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar? Have you seen that?
Which?
Warning the military.
Yes, saying they will be charged with something. I think a murder or something when
it's laughable when
Mm.
people are talking about treason
Mm.
on the one hand, and all you could add to the conversation is that the military that has not even done anything, should be careful. They should do this. I
It's
think
a large article in the country.
I don't even know. I mean, he stays in Dubai more than anywhere else.
Hey. So look at the says, I said he's hoping the president will, as a matter of urgency, fulfill all his promises, such as the rolling of CNG buses and also reviving our refineries. This is August. We should be looking forward to something from the refineries, I think. All right. Shola Adonyaditsu says, I love your analysis and let them hear. These same northerners that won't take part in previous protests when the people were in charge. All right, then. More comment right here. Quite a lot of them. Let's take more calls, please. Hello, good morning. 0704 1001 887. 0704 1001 887. Femi Ranky says that when you listen to Maestro with an open mind, you will learn not to think of his analysis bias or in favor or out of favor of persons. Just check out his predictions of this protest, how it is playing out. And I'm happy this is happening because restructuring will happen on its own. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, I'm calling from Bagi. My name is Comrade Oluwasegun.
All right, sir. Your contribution.
Yeah, concerning the issue of this concerning people are clamoring for. You see, I'm so happy. I'm so happy because I know my age now. I'm so happy that some of our past presidents are still alive today to be seeing what is actually happening in Nigeria. You see, when something is unable to do what it's supposed to do in time, I believe that person will suffer for it or will regret for it at the end of the day. You can just see it now. Baba Basojo is alive today. Jonathan is alive today. Buhari is alive today. Abdulsalam is alive today. Now, they are seeing what is happening now. If our new president now, our able president now, Baba Tinubu, is able to do something now, and he cannot even do it, when he's able to do it, and he refuses to do it, I know one day he will leave that position, and he will even know he will continue to regret about it. So what people are expecting of him to do this time around must be done. It must be done because time is not even go for a person. There will be a time that he will leave that position. So for him to avoid that regret at the end of the day, he must do what people are clamoring for this time around.
All right.
So that is my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution, sir. Rashid Anelka says, honestly, Ali Ndume fooled. Ismail Okiadeto, he says, to the legend, the maestro. It's now a ritual to listen to your analysis. To me, Nigeria only needs two leaders. One that will get us real independence from the West. Two, one that will put things right and bring development. Singapore, China, Malaysia, and many Asian tigers did this, and it worked.
Let me tell you why it worked.
From Katsina.
You see, from the beginning, you see, because all these places too were colonized like us. The difference between us and the Asians is the Asians never left their gods and they never left their tongues. So, but here in Africa,
when we were colonized,
yes, we
left
left our gods and we left our tongue. So that's made it very difficult because you see, when somebody wants to conquer you without putting a gun to your head, if he gives you his God, you begin to worship him, not his God. And if he gives you his tongue, you are gone forever.
Hello, good morning.
Hello,
good morning.
Morning, madam.
Your name and where you're calling from, sir?
Olale Moses again from Alaska area.
All right, sir, your contribution quickly.
Since we have colonized, and when those white people join us together as in Nigeria, that's where Western area here is just like a white man who died at the back of policeman. Yes, as it be, that only God can see for spoil. For me, at this present, Nigeria will need to be restructuring.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Adewumi Adedeji says, Great Maestro, you are a fantastic analyst, bold and functional. Corruption is part of human creations. OBJ is now suggesting diversification from oil. Nigeria is a complex country. He has forgotten how he wasted billions of naira on third term and multi-million dollars on power.
All right, I've taken enough of the credit this morning. I think,
okay.
Because I was really angry that you guys are not applauding.
So now I'm doing it. It's
yeah. Let's do it in measures. It's fine now.
Okay. Olalere Bayole says many political leaders are the problem of Nigeria. There are many stooges in government who cannot perform well. I can't say Operation Feed the Nation was turned to Obasanjo Farms Nigeria Limited.
I don't know.
We didn't say that.
You are the one saying that. I don't know what it turned out to. But
we said restructuring is the best, but we have many emperor governors in Nigeria now who are against one of the restructuring, which is a local government autonomy. All right. It's about time we left this morning to come back tomorrow, of course, to talk more about our nation. But Maestro, is it true? Say in Dume food.
Well, it didn't surprise me. I know it surprised a lot of you guys, but this is their game, and they want to be in relevance for as long as they could, and they would do anything for that. And you know what he did was clearly wrong. You cannot be pissing in the common pot. Everybody will go hungry. So if they had been so good for so long, why did they suddenly turn bad?
Ali, you were saying the right thing. I mean, why apologize
he knew it should not be from him. He's a billionaire now.
All right, your party short, Maestro.
I think we should take, like I always say, let's elevate the conversation for the sake of our people. The conversation we've been having is too way down there because it will not address our problems. Our problems are global, and the global agenda is being pushed by proxies who are Nigerians like you and I. And so we don't recognize that we're in a colony because we're being colonized by our black people now. So we need to understand that. I hope we could.
Okay, tomorrow is another day to be in the studio to talk about Nigeria. My name is Wuraola Yusuff, and I'll see you tomorrow.